mistake upon a mistake. Overnight, China hurled these new accusations at President Trump as it took action, bracing for a real trade slugfest. President Trump is now promising a new 50% tariff on China, on top of the other new tariffs, which are on top of existing tariffs. Combined, this would make U.S. tariffs on imports from China a whopping 104%. And yet, despite all this tough talk, the markets, they seem a little less agitated this morning. After days of these massive losses and trillions of dollars in value evaporated, U.S. stock futures are pointing up, for now at least. It comes, and it may be because of the fact that some members of his administration have relented on their no negotiation stance. Some members of the administration. The markets in Asia, you can see right there, most of them rebounded after their sharp sell-offs. This comes, though, as China accused the U.S. of blackmail, and China is vowing to, quote, fight to the end if the president moves ahead with all of his threats. So let's get right to CNN's Mark Stewart in Beijing.
If they look at that as blackmail, it's because the Trump administration is going in sharp contrast to what the Chinese have been enjoying over the last several decades. So they run into this Trump dude, and he's not rolling the same way. And they're like, wait, we're being blackmailed. Because they're expected to pay more to get their products into the United States. And that's not what the agreement was. We were acting as if China was doing us a favor. And we're the world's biggest market. Who would not want to sell their product in the United States? And then once you get in the United States, it ends up in all the Walmarts and Targets in the United States, which means you have access to that entire population, rich and poor, old and young, black and white. That, of course, they don't want to relinquish that. They're like, what in the hell? What is this Trump dude doing? And I don't know what he's doing. I ain't going to sit here and tell you I do. I don't know if he completely got it together, but he has been consistent in what he's doing and what he said he would like to do. Well, I don't know why he's being resisted so hard, except that he is a short-term politician. He came into the game late after sitting on the sidelines and being frustrated by some things that he probably thought should have been different legally, and he couldn't get it done. Now he's in a position to change it where it can work for people who will be in the position that he was in and open up those markets, as they like to say. But I don't know. Where's he going with this? How, in my personal opinion, the only thing that could hurt him is if the Republicans turn on him. If the Republicans start fragmenting off, falling apart, little by little, that's going to be real bad for him. He has absolutely got to keep that cabinet and those Republicans over there in Congress on his team. If he can manage that, he's going to be okay. Because the Democrats are going to do what the Democrats are doing. Whining and crying and screaming. And the only Democrat of substance in the last few decades has been Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton balanced the budget. He did. Bill Clinton, and a lot of people forget that era that we were going through. That was when the crack epidemic was on its way down. When the crime bill and all these things that locked up all these people. I ain't say it went away, but it wasn't peaking. It wasn't on its way up still. It had already hit the peak we now know. It was on its way down. And they were filling these police departments up with all these military style weapons. And Bill Clinton's era in the 90s, as I remember clearly, because that Bush, Big Bush, was only in there for one term. And he didn't do very much anything. He had a Congress fighting him at every turn. So he couldn't get nothing done. Bill Clinton, on the other hand, was able to balance the budget. And the only thing that I ever looked at about Bill Clinton that was a bad thing was the morality of the Monica Lewinsky thing. I was like, nah, that was kind of messed up. But in hindsight, and when you look at it now, it's like at the expense of balancing the budget, which is a step in the direction of saving a country. Because what can we do now? And the reason I brought that up, what can we do now if China decides, hey, you know what? United States, you wanna play games with me? You wanna go to war? Give me what you owe me. Let's stop all trade. We can cut all trade off of the United States and give us what you owe us. I don't know how many of that trillion goes to China. What if they say we want to cash in? And we say no, we ain't got it. Or what do you tell people like that? What do you tell your credit card companies when they're ready for their money and you quit making payments or quit working the deal that they agreed upon? We're in a situation here that could very easily turn into a war. And I think the only thing that's going to benefit the United States right now at this point in time, is if Putin gets involved on the side of the Chinese, which he is on the side of the Chinese. But if he actively gets involved, meetings, treaties, working in the interests of what China and the United States got going on, I think that would be in our best interest, because I think Trump does need to see that. I think he needs to have a clearer understanding that even though he might have a cool relationship with Putin, from as long as we've been adversarial countries, and for him to get in there and be the one that kind of got a little bit of a relationship with the guy and be like, he ain't as bad as they say he is. That's why I think he needs to rub elbows with China while Trump is present, and where it doesn't benefit Trump, so Trump can see, oh, okay, that's how it go. And then I think that we will really be propelled in a better place. Trump just needs to clearly see who his allies are and aren't. And then from there, we'll be able to get some stuff going. But I'm totally not for or against these tariffs. I'm just very interested in learning on this, because I don't think that the country's going to cease to exist. I don't think we're going to lose anything that we ain't got as a country, as far as being a country going in the direction that Trump, he's taking us in the right direction. I just think he's trying to take us there too fast. Somebody needs to be thinking about knocking this deficit down. Or like I said earlier, what are we going to do if China says, I don't want to play your stupid game, just pay me the whatever trillions you owe me? Then what are we going to do? And we don't have it, obviously, because it's on the credit card. We charged it. We are paying on it $1 trillion a year in interest alone. And this is what Trump says he's going to get us out. Let's see. Let him do it. Let's sit back and watch this movie and not get too involved in it or take a side, because who knows if Trump is right, but we know the Democrats are wrong. You can't say you were right and we have $37 trillion, and let's take like 10 trillion of that off. I think 9 or 10 belong to Trump from his last time. So he ain't, believe me, fiscal responsibility is not the order of the day. But I do want to see where they go with this. Well, how will this work out if Trump's plan works? Because he might be dealing with the Heritage Foundation, the Project 2025 people. When you hear that, people freak out. Oh, shit. Democrats have think tanks. They have people who advise presidents on policy and stuff like that, and he listens to it or he don't listen to it. But when you take the Heritage Foundation, and that's what's wrong with politics today, is the Republicans do it and the Democrats do it. They take think tanks. They take foundations. Of course, they're probably foundations funded by people that we wouldn't hang around, or probably they wouldn't hang around us either, but just different places in society, economically as well. So what are you going to do? It is what it is. Those things exist. But to make the American public think that it's an organization built to torpedo the American way of life as we know it and change things and oppress people, that's what I don't like. because you get your black folks up there, and you get your Latinos up there, and you get your Asians up there, and everybody gets there and starts crying and whining like the country's going to be torn apart. If the Constitution isn't being violated, the country isn't going anywhere. We're following that Constitution. That's what makes America America. Everybody has their own little variations of it, but in this duopoly, there's room for everybody under that tent. If you guys really feel threatened, if you really feel that the Democrats are trying to ruin the country as we know it, and the Republicans, maybe it's time for a third party. And you guys don't want that, because anything new is not going to agree with that Constitution as written. You guys have a really good thing going, and you're going to mess it up by fighting a little bit too much. You know, the fights are getting a little bloody. But Donald Trump has gotten in there, duly elected, and twice, and kind of made some people, myself included, just look at government differently, because it was always a thing that we did without even thinking about it. It was obviously a thing we did because we thought we were just supposed to do it. But when you get a guy in office now who's doing things, they got these people screaming. Like, why are they screaming so loudly? And they had all these decades to build whatever it is we're living under, and he can make them scream that loud in such a short period of time. I want to see this movie. I want to see this movie
here, because the rest of Asia is in a different place than China is right now, and China really seems to be gearing up for a serious fight.
Indeed, John, despite what the White House may want, China and Beijing is making it very clear that it's not going to budge. And once again today, we saw this shift from diplomatic language to something that's much more defiant. You brought up that phrase, mistake upon mistake. That is some of the language we heard today from China's Ministry of Commerce. And it's taking a very strong stance. In fact, it also went on to say that China will resolutely take countermeasures to safeguard its own rights and interests. As far as what those countermeasures could be, we heard from a state media commentator who brought up the point that we could see more tariffs targeting agriculture, things like soybeans, which we know are so important to American farmers and the broader economy, even restricting or banning American films. We heard at a press briefing just about 4 hours ago from a spokesperson from China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The messaging there, very strong, very firm. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Pressure, threats, and blackmail are not the right ways to engage with China. If the U.S. disregards the interests of both countries and the international community, insists on launching a tariff or trade war, China will fight to the end.
See, that's some tough talk. And that's what scares the journalists. I think. I don't really think it scares them. But I think a lot of the journalists use that kind of tough talk to manipulate their audience, for them to tell their audience then, hey, you better listen to us. The Chinese are getting serious here. They're mad. They're big mad. But I don't think that's such a big deal. I don't think it's nothing we really got to worry about too much either. And we shouldn't. We should be paying attention to what Donald Trump is doing. Praying that the Republican Party sticks behind him and they can get something done or moved, that we can see it happen. Because if the Democrats are out of power and out of Congress and out of fucking whack, just out of everything, then why should they be stifling anything? If they didn't have enough good policies and good programs and good ideas to be in power right now, then they shouldn't have enough power to be stifling anything and at all. That's just one of them things that just shouldn't happen. They should be the hell out the way. Getting a plan together. If your plan is just stopping their plan, like I feel theirs was until Trump came along. Trump wasn't a part of that Republican Party who played that game where all you guys do is fight to stop the other one from going too far. But the things they like seem to get through, and the really mean business gets through. But the other fringe kind of ideas, you know, on the left, the black people, and on the right, the rich people. But the rich people seem to be taken better care of than the black people, you know, on a percentage basis if you pay attention to it. But now, folks, we must start to look at this. Everybody says that Donald Trump is trying to take care of his rich buddies and give them all these big old tax breaks. That's the talk on the town. So if he's in such of a having a fit to give his friends everything he can, why is he tanking their economy? Why are these tariffs tanking the economy? These people are like, freaking the hell out and not knowing which direction their money is going in. I'm telling you guys, it's something else going on, and that ain't it. And if it is, maybe it's billionaire buddies in another country, but it cannot be the billionaires. But he's tanking Asian markets. World markets are crashing. The United States should know by him saying what he's saying and the markets reacting the way they are, that we have a kind of power that we shouldn't be $37 trillion in debt. No way, shape, or form. We have had to have been taken advantage of. We are the country that have it our way all over the world. Why are we $37 trillion in debt? That doesn't make any sense to me. And for a president to get in office and in under 90 days to have the whole world freaking out and with bated breath, not knowing what he might do next. Maybe that's how you should govern. Maybe you shouldn't be so predictable. Maybe you shouldn't just automatically follow what the last administration did because everybody was cool and the prices just hiked a little bit, and then the next president a little bit more, and then the next few a little bit more, until you go, wow. But it'd been in such small increments that nobody really yelled. We just kind of screeched a little, but nothing that you could really hear. Well, this is a screech. And Trump is doing something. He calls a reset. It's a lot of things that are going to come of this. But the one thing that I hope come of this is the ability for us to see how much power we got, how much power our country has, how much power our vote has, and who we put in office. And never, ever go back to the Democratic Party until they go rebuild themselves. If we got to deal with this duopoly, at least give us a decent team. You know, people are loyal to football teams through losing seasons. Politics ain't that way. We cannot look at politics like sporting events. If you're a sports fan, this ain't for you. This is real life. And in your real life, you only get one. So if it takes you to get up off of that bus and go get on another bus for a moment, and if it's going to be the bus to take you where you need to go, or to get a small taxi cab just to get all your folks taken care of, till you get y'all stuff together, and then you can see who you can lend your support to and get some things accomplished. But this is not like sports where we have lifelong Raider fans, no matter what, win, lose, but they Raider fans. You know, Green Bay, I get it, Dallas, but this ain't that. This is not that. And even in that case, you had 28 teams to choose from and nobody jumped ship. We got 2. And you got to know, if your team gets voted out of office, bad, get their ass kicked in all 3 levels, and which sets up the Supreme Court because of their ineptness, because of them not being able to legislate, because of Obama getting pushed around. Oh, I want to nominate Merrick Garland. It's like, nah, we'll vote after the next election. And there's like, but we're 180 days. The Republicans just punking the Democrats, showing me how powerless they are. And I don't want to be a part of a party that's powerless, because you're just setting yourself up for abuse. But if they rebuild themselves, if they were able to rebuild themselves, gain some strength, shore up some weaknesses, then it makes sense again. But it don't make no sense to go where you know an ass whipping is awaiting. Who wants that? And the Republican side, we might be able to work a deal with them only for our vote. Give us our vote and give us something back for it. Give us the opportunity to open some black businesses. Let's do what we really do. Let's sell our own hair care products. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Everyone should sell their own hair care products. I mean, it's a huge, obviously, it's a huge market. There's a lot of people selling hair care products to us. They don't even understand our hair. No one understands our hair like we do. I don't know why I got off on hair, but open up some hair care products for black people. Give those opportunities out. And I think that the United States could be a whole lot better place to live if we just get those economic opportunities and keep thinking about them reparations that we're gonna work on. But we're gonna put that on the on the long track. But on the short track, business opportunities. It is hurting my heart to see illegal immigrants come here and the first money they make is as a business owner. If it's nothing but selling food on the street food that they set up and it's nice enough for people to go and spend their money there and for them to make money and feed their families and all of that. But it's hard to see that when the opportunities for us to do that. I know for a fact, growing up in South Central Los Angeles, that you just couldn't pull up and start barbecuing or selling things on the street like that. It just wasn't legal to do. We are not in a place right now to be worrying about if what Trump is doing is right or wrong. We just need to let him play out his plan, because if they dismantle it or convince him somehow through people being out in the street, through making him really believe he's losing popularity, to bend a little instead of going full bore his way, then that's not his plan. That's his plan watered down by the Democrats and their folks helping him, which might be the answer to save the country or to make people feel comfortable again. It's a lot of benefits to that. But the one benefit we won't get is the full benefit of Trump's plan. Whether you agree with it or not, you might be like, no, I don't agree with it. But okay, I don't either, but let's see it play out. It ain't gonna do nothing to us that ain't been done to us. And the 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, decade and decade and decade just rolling by of us dealing with the Chinese the way we have, and the Japanese and the Koreans. You notice every decade you start getting more familiar. I remember when I first started seeing Korean products, I wouldn't buy it. I just was like, oh no, what the heck? And now some of the stuff that comes over here is some of the highest quality electronics that on the market. And I ain't saying there's nothing wrong with the quality of their products or any of that, but as the world's hugest consumer market, being us, the United States, and Canada up there north of us, taking advantage of us as well, and Mexico too. And that's real talk, because if you can get your products for sale in America, you good. You are good. And we provide that. And China, whoever in the Democratic Party can explain to us where we won't be mad how we owe China money. How is that $1 trillion, $37 trillion, any part of that China? Because if it is, we want to know. We buy enough products from China not to owe them anything. They should just be like, oh, don't worry. You good. Here, take more. Because they're making their money above board and without pissing anybody off. There would be no reason for them to have us hanging over a barrel. But if they do, then yeah, they've been taking advantage of us, because we're providing this country to actually overtake us economically and with influence in the world by just being consumers, by not manufacturing it. But and Trump might be doing a last grasp for the industrial revolution to revolutionize itself, but that's not going to happen. It's impossible. We have lost that time and that place, and we'll never get back to it. There's no way the United States is going to lead the world in whatever he's trying, anything that even speaks manufacturing. All we have over here is a bunch of what do they call those damn things? Distribution centers, distribution sites. Amazon, Walmart, all of them, all the big names, they all have them. You drive by and you see it like, whoa, you're like big old long. They go as long as you can, and they're everywhere. And that's what we've gone to. And it doesn't pay a lot of money for somebody to go work in there and pull orders and box them and ship them or whatever it is they do in there. It must not pay a lot because you should be able to own a home. Those should be jobs, but they're not. They're not. We've taken a step back as workers in the world. We've taken a step back in a lot of ways, the technology, and we can at least capitalize on the fact that we are the biggest consumer in the world. And nobody can compete with that. But we can't keep giving that away. We can't be the biggest and best customer you got, but we always in debt to you. Well, we ran a little over. Don't worry about it. Should be the right approach. Or maybe we overcharging y'all to begin with. Something ain't right. And Trump might be onto something in that regard.
Fight to the end. That spokesperson was also asked, would China sit down at the negotiating table with the United States? His response, China has not shown any kind of genuine willingness to have a substantive conversation. John, that's where things stand now, just past 7 o'clock in the evening here in Beijing.
Yeah, no, I know it's been a long day there in China, taking some measures to prop up its own markets. This is what you do if you're gearing up for a fight that may not end soon. Mark Stewart in Beijing, great to see you. Thank you very much.
The Chinese Commerce Ministry firmly denounced President Trump's threat to raise cumulative tariffs on China to more than 100%. That could happen as early as this week. Let's bring in CNN's Christy Lu Stout in Hong Kong for us. Christy Lu, great to have you. Trump ratcheting up, clearly, the global trade war with this new tariff threat. How's Beijing responding?
Well, Beijing is responding this way. It is calling Trump's 50% tariff threat, quote, a mistake upon a mistake, and it is vowing to fight until the very end. It was on Monday.
The only thing I can get out of it is that China, if they really do believe that this is wrong, and it's like, whoa, it's because it's just been this way for so long. And for the United States to completely make a sharp turn, I just think that they must be like, wait, whoa, is this an attack? Are you guys trying to pick a war or fight with us? Everything's been going smooth, and now, and I'm just not getting it as to why a new president coming in can't say, you know what, I was voted in, and I just don't think the trade is right. Or in this country, that needs to be reworked. Or, hey, I don't like the Obama thing. Hey, I didn't like the health care in this country. And everybody who tries to do something that is gonna be their signature gets stifled and it gets watered down or dragged into courts. And what are we so scared of? These people who lost should allow theirself to lick their wounds and heal and come back stronger or come back different, but not to stifle the guy who won. When do you get to win a game or win a match or win a ping pong game or anything and not truly win because the other person got to shave some of your points off because, just over some bullshit? Give them their win. Give it to them. Give it to them. And if you have a way legislatively that you can stop them, then you play on that field, because that's what you are. You're a politician and a legislator, and you should be dealing in that realm. And don't beg us for our votes, and then when that wasn't enough, come back digging back in the well again, only to win or lose or who gives a damn, but not ever reciprocate, not pay that back in some way. Move on like Trump is doing. Shit, everybody who voted for Trump wasn't asking for what he's doing. That's just the way it is. But I'm in the party of let it go. Let it roll. Let's see where this is going to get us. Will the world look at the United States differently? Will they be like, oh, shit. You want to sell your shit in the United States, the price just went up. It's like, as opposed to having your products for sale in a swap meet or, in one of the high class malls that got some of the best designers and best stores in it. Where would you rather your stuff be? Maybe that's what the United States needs to be. If we can't be manufacturers, which it doesn't look like that's coming back on that scale, then hey, maybe we can be designer consumers of some sort, where when people sell their stuff over here, it's meant to cater to the consumer and in a real way, and not just in words and in glamour, but really in a benefit to us, and to let us know that we got good taste, and a lot of the designs come from here, and then they go over there and mass produce them and then ship them back over and sell them to us. So I don't know. I don't know if what Trump is doing is right, but I know what the Democrats is doing wasn't working, and maybe they need to get together on it. But when you take all that years and years of bickering and fighting and pulling back and forth over almost nothing, this is what you end up with. A guy comes into town and he really got a different idea, and they're not used to it, but he kind of took over their party. Any of them really speak too loud, he can get rid of them. All he got to do is go to their town and tell on them, hey, who is this guy you guys sent to me? He's not doing me any good. And they'll be like, oh, really? Okay, we got, he coming up in 2 years. We got you. He'll be up out of there. I mean, I believe that Trump might try another term. And the Democratic answer to that is Obama. Obama running against Trump. That shit would be good. That would be like one of them pay-per-view fights that you waited for years and years. Obama and Trump. Woo. The only thing I wish is Trump was a little younger. He's old, but oh my God, that would be good. I think we'd enjoy that. No matter who win or lose, that'd be a good one there. The campaign would be the fun part. The debate. The debates, man, that would be crazy. But both of them, as far as we know, Trump's beginning his tour, but as of now, and he has been through it at White House once, won't do anything for black people. And I must say that. I can't let that go without being said. And that's important. Somebody gotta just break bread and be like, man, we got to do right by these folks. And we need black people to start saying it more, and then other people will start saying it more. And I think that's the direction we need to be heading in.
When we heard from U.S. President Donald Trump again, when he ratcheted up the global trade war, lashing out at China for striking back and threatening a new 50% tariff against Beijing if Beijing doesn't remove its retaliatory 34% tariff. China is holding firm, and China is pushing back. We heard earlier today from the Commerce Ministry of China issued a...
Man, I really hope Trump is doing the right thing and knows what he's doing, because he might really be getting like Biden was getting, losing it, kind of slipping, and we're over here supporting it. And that's just the early stages of dementia. You get mean, you kind of mean, we fight and a little combative. So I hope this is really his policy and his plan and not the early stages of dementia. I'm just praying. But the Democrats can identify dementia from 4 miles away. But when they were having press conferences and meetings with it every morning, they didn't know what it was. It was, no, him. Oh, no, he's as sharp as he's ever been.
Very defiant statement with this expert. Let's bring it up for you. The expert saying this, quote, the U.S. threat to escalate tariffs on China is a mistake on top of a mistake, which once again exposes the...
Of course China would say that. Of course, China, we are trillions of dollars in debt that we can't pay. How do we even, I don't know, this is what I want to see. How is Trump going to get out of this? What if he starts to piss people off and they say, well, we want our money? I mean, that's what I want to see. Cash in the debt, and let's see what happens then. Will Trump be like, whoa, 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 or do we have a response? Because that's what we need to know. This is serious stuff. With $37 trillion debt, and we complaining about tariffs going up, something need to be going up. What is the Democrats' plan? What is the Democrats' plan to bring this down? They don't have one, but they're going to knock his. If he's saying that his plan, the ultimate goal of that plan is to bring that deficit down, then we can't be knocking the man. That's a plan. You can't just say, no, stop what you're doing because it's making people uncomfortable. That's not justifiable. You can't say it's just because, of course, it's going to make them uncomfortable, because something has been going wrong for an extended amount of time, to the point of where now It's getting to the point where we have to do something about it. We have to, or it's going to continue to be worse progressively instead of dealing with it right now. I'm in the dealing with it right now party, but this is a movie I want to see.
Blackmailing nature of the U.S. China will never accept it. If the U.S. insists on its own way, China will fight to the end, unquote. The ministry also called for all tariff plans to be dropped and called for dialogue to settle differences. Earlier, we heard from the spokesman of the Chinese embassy in the United States who took a more measured tone, using language that we've heard time and time again during ongoing trade battles between U.S. and China. This is what Liu Pengyu said in a statement. He said this to CNN, quote, "We have stressed more than once that pressuring or threatening China is not a right way to engage with us. China will firmly safeguard its legitimate rights and interests," unquote. Now, China watchers are...
Don't nobody need no notes from China on how to deal with that. China will not deal with bullying. China will give a damn about what China gonna deal with. What we need to be dealing with right now is how to get ourselves back on good economical footing. I don't know if it's gonna be with Donald Trump, but in some way you can't be no superpower and be like all sprawled out all over the place like us looking bad. That don't make no sense. We're out there looking bad, y'all. And what we need is somebody to bring back some dignity and some self-respect and that world dominance and all that bullying that the United States is known for. Because it seems that we have slipped. We're no longer the bullies of the world we used to be. And Donald Trump, in my opinion, is a bully. But he ain't really a big bully when it comes to confronting the powers of the world. I don't know how his approach is a little different than I thought it would be, but he ain't got a whole lot of international experience other than just traveling, as a business type person and not the most powerful person in the world. That wouldn't take me very long to get used to. But some people got to grow into that part. But unfortunately, I think that's what's going on with Donald Trump. But he does understand he's the president of the United States. I think the international arena is a little more daunting for him. But in the United States, I don't. I think he's really got it and had it from day one. But actually, before he ever went in, I think he had that part down. And I really believe that he's trying to do something. And I believe that if it fails because of resistance or because of courts or because of approval ratings or something other than the fact that it was not allowed to just play out and either boom or fizzle. But for us to actually see that. You guys want Donald Trump to go away? Leave him alone. Let him do what he says he's going to do. And I think the United States can survive Donald Trump. But I don't think the United States is going to be able to fight Donald Trump and maintain our position abroad. I don't think that's going to be able to happen. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I feel about it.
Watching all this very, very closely and believe that China is going to hold firm and China is not going to budge. It's not going to give up. It's threatened retaliatory tariffs of 34% set to kick in later this week on April the 10th. In fact, this is what Ryan Haas, a scholar at Brookings, had to say. He posted this on X just a few hours ago. It's a very interesting analysis. He said this: "I am skeptical that Beijing will blink on President Trump's recent tariff escalation threats. Chinese leaders understand holding firm will be economically costly. They are preparing the public to tolerate pain. Politics may drive decisions," unquote. So, Rahel, China...
In other words, we ain't scared of them. If they don't blink, we ain't blinking in. I mean, that's not my problem. My problem is, what is our plan really? I mean, I believe if we have a real plan, we have the ability and the resources to fill out any plan, to fulfill any plan, to fulfill any of them, whatever we want to do damn near. But we are ultimately going to get to a place where that's not going to be possible if we continue to be governed in the way that we are. To water down our society, to water down our strength, to water down our position in the world because of one political party or the other. I don't think that's acceptable. And I don't think that the Democrats are accepting their responsibility for their role in where we are. Even in Donald Trump being able to be elected. If you guys were so wonderful and so good, we wouldn't have President Trump. So you have to accept some of that responsibility for him. And for those of you who might have snuck in a booth and voted for him and just we didn't know about it.
China apparently not expecting any trade breakthroughs, not expecting any off ramps here. Not only that, China is digging in. Rahel, back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's about what it comes to. They're digging in. The United States is digging in. They're on a collision course. What do you guys think? Do you guys really think that if China really digs in and uses this economic leverage, and then the United States really digs in and uses this consumer leverage, because we are the golden goose, and everybody wants. I'm sorry, we're the eggs. Huh? Everybody want to come over here and sell to the United States. And man, if you could get your product over here, can you imagine? I mean, when you go in these little African boutiques and they have these little woven and handmade items that really come from over there, do you know that's not stuff that's just widely available, and only a few, I guess artisans from Africa actually can get their products, like in Target and Walmart. There's probably more now than it's ever been, but that is quite an accomplishment. This market is where everybody wants to be. Everybody wants their stuff here, because this is, if you got access to the American market, and nobody in their right mind would want to have a trade war with us. It would be Trump's way, in my opinion, of ruffling them up a little. So then they say, hey, I need to talk to you. What's going on? And then he's hoping most of them come in with concessions and offerings that supersede even what he was going to ask for. And it makes him look like a genius. I felt that's the way it should go. I wouldn't think that China or anybody else who does trade with the United States would be willing to relinquish that just because of you're misunderstanding this president who's only going to be here for 4 years, and he could set something in motion that could have a rippling effect, because once you wake up the American public, it don't matter who the president is. And I believe the American public is going to be awakened like they never have been before. The amount of power that a president have is awakening. It makes you start thinking different. Like, So as a society, then we need to be more careful about who we put in there. And if you think like Democrats in the way of Trump's, yeah, they'll think more seriously about it. But our politicians need to be more serious as well, and give us something to vote for, give us something to support, and don't go up there and get your ass kicked and then come back and ask for more. Ooh, we need more money. We need more support. We need more of this. And, Kamala and Obama popping up here and there. That's for the blacks. Black people, we ain't falling for it no more. We ain't going for it. It's exhausting. They need to come at us with real conversations. Here we are in California. We're this far away from reparations. All the studies have been done. All the city council meetings and the reparations task fall fragmented, falling apart, because there were people within who look like us who weren't really pulling for the reparations to be successful. And I think we come damn close, considering a whole lot of people ain't even for it to begin with. And I know that ain't got nothing to do with taxes, but we need to start talking about that as well. Right now, we're in a wonderful place, with Donald Trump. And California, you don't like the way this state is rolling. Maybe, some people in this state don't like the way it's rolling. Maybe we can do some things differently that would help the people who live here, who have to, call California home. Make it a little better for us all out here. Let me know what you guys think, though. I mean, our taxes, tariffs, everybody's using this word like it's something new. There's been tariffs since before the United States of America or America was even known to be a continent. The world was flat and they had tariffs. Okay, so everybody understand that that's just how trade is done. It can never be so complicated that it takes some scholar to explain it to you, but because it's in dollars and cents, and it's in our dollars and cents. We are the consumers. We are the taxpayers. We are the supporters of this government economically. So we don't need a scholar who you go get and put on one of your news channels to explain our money to us. We don't need that. What we need is for somebody to break it down real easy, where any human being who's old enough to pay taxes is old enough to understand it. You paid your tax. Here's your explanation of why we think and why what we did, those kind of in those terms. And I feel just seeing Trump right when you get up in the morning on TV, and the last thing before you go to bed at night, he up there talking some more, and it's a different speech. They don't keep repeating. It's like he's in another city or he's in another part of the White House, but he's doing a lot. And unfortunately for some people, they think he's doing too much. But after having a president that you didn't see but every 3 or 4 months, and usually it was friendly fire, having him out at a pancake breakfast or getting ice cream or some shit, well, we're in a very serious part in the existence of the United States. And whether you like Donald Trump or not, you have to look at logic and common sense. And $37 trillion, if somebody got pissed off and asked us for it, we would have to start asking for private citizens to step up outside of the taxes. I mean, that's how bad it is. And to believe that we've been put in that position and people support a party that strongly that has contributed to that greatly. And so a lot of those Republicans as well. But Donald Trump has contributed to that deficit because he went in playing their way and believing that stuff works. It don't. And I don't think he really understands it, but I do believe he understands it well enough to have educated advisors around him. His opinion and the decision he makes after receiving that advice might be completely opposite of mine or yours or most of ours. But we didn't get elected to be the president. And you don't get to, after you vote and lose, say, well, at least we get that, he don't get to do what he want card out. He should get to do what he want. Whether whether it was Biden who got to do what he wanted, he opened up the borders. Trump, he get to do what he want to do. He want to do tariffs. That's his big thing. But he says in the name of getting rid of the deficit or knocking it down significantly. But we're got to see, hey, he ain't known for being real honest. So, we got to see. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, share. Appreciate the support. And we'll see you on the next Black Popcorn.